I threw gummy worms at a woman for talking and using her phone in the theater. A couple of months ago, I was watching Inside Out 2 in theaters. It was supposed to be a relaxing night out, a chance to unwind and enjoy a movie that I'd been looking forward to for months. I had my popcorn, a soda, and a pack of gummy worms ready for a great time. The theater was mostly full, but it was a pretty chill crowd except for the people right in front of me. Sitting in front of me were these two women and a young girl, maybe 7-8 years old. Anyway, throughout the movie, they kept talking. They whispered back and forth loudly enough that it was hard to ignore. But even worse, the two women kept using their phones, especially one of the women who wouldn't stop using it. She had her phone out almost the entire time, scrolling and texting with the brightness all the way up. It was like she didn't care about anyone else in the theater, the bright light piercing through the darkness and right into my eyes. It was super disruptive and I really couldn't take it anymore. I tried shifting in my seat to get a better view of the screen without the glare, but no matter what I did, I could see her phone. I was getting more and more frustrated as the minutes went by. I considered asking her to turn her phone off, but I didn't want to cause a scene, I just wanted to enjoy the movie. Then I had an idea. I happened to have a pack of gummy worms with me. I know it sounds silly, but at that moment I decided to use what I had. I didn't want to waste any full worms on her after all, they were my snack, and I didn't want to give them up just because she was being inconsiderate. So, after getting fed up with her behavior, I bit off half of one worm and threw the other half at her. I aimed carefully, trying to make sure I wouldn't miss. And I didn't, the half gummy worm hit her right on the back of her head. She turned around and looked in my direction, eyes narrowing as she tried to figure out who did it. But I just kept looking straight at the screen, munching on my popcorn as if nothing had happened. I could feel her gaze lingering for a moment, but eventually she turned back around. I hoped that would be enough to get her to stop using her phone. But she still wouldn't stop using it. The bright light continued to flash in my eyes, making it almost impossible to focus on the movie. So, a few minutes later, after another scene was ruined by her phone's brightness, I bit off half of another gummy worm and threw the other half at her. This time, I put a little more force behind it, really wanting to get her attention. That really got her angry. She turned around, looked right at me, and said, "Stop it." Her voice was sharp, and it seemed like she was finally getting annoyed. Again, I just kept looking at the screen, acting like it wasn't me who threw it. I didn't even flinch, just stayed completely focused on the movie. Then she turned to the woman and little girl next to her and said, "He's throwing gummy worms at me." Her tone was almost comical, like she couldn't believe someone would do such a thing. The three of them turned around to look at me, then looked around to see who else could have thrown it. They were scanning the audience, clearly trying to catch me in the act, but I stayed still, not giving anything away. They continued murmuring to each other, trying to figure out what had happened, and I thought for sure they'd call me out. Then the little girl pointed at me, at least I think it was me, and said, "Well, it definitely wasn't that guy." I have no idea why she said that. Maybe because I looked so innocent or because she just didn't see me throw anything. Either way, I was in the clear. The three of them turned back around to watch the movie, and the woman finally dimmed her phone. I couldn't believe it actually worked. She eventually stopped using her phone several minutes later. The two women also shut up for the rest of the movie. It was a small victory, but I felt pretty proud of myself for handling it without having to confront them directly. The woman did leave for a few minutes, presumably to tell the staff on me, but nothing came of it. I guess they didn't believe her, or maybe thought it was too ridiculous to do anything about. In the end, I got to enjoy the rest of the movie in peace without the bright phone light or their constant talking. It was a strange way to solve the problem, but hey, it worked. I finished my gummy worms, sat back, and finally let myself get lost in the movie. I couldn't help but smile a little, thinking about how sometimes, even the smallest actions can have a big impact.